Hello and welcome to Unprofessional Engineering. My name is James.
And you got Luke.
Luke, today we're looking at how to make your home more energy efficient.
Yeah, this was at the very end. I'm going to share my personal home efficiency score, and I kind of wish you would have done one, James, because you would. I guarantee you're worse. But
So I thought about doing it, Luke, but I don't really know that much about my house yet, if that even makes sense.
oh
Like
yeah, you
I
haven't
didn't
been in all that long.
Yeah,
That's
I didn't
right.
buy the appliances. I don't know how new or old they are. It has
I
so many
gotcha.
stinking light bulbs everywhere. So I'm going to use that as my out, but I'm really excited to hear how you ended up rating on this.
Oh, it was bad.
Fun fact to kick this off for you.
Shoot.
The U.S. Department of Energy estimates that the typical household can save 25% on utility bills with energy-efficient measures, which amounts to over $2,200 a year. That's a lot of smackers for me to be saving, man.
Yeah, so I'll probably say this a couple of times on
You're
on
gonna
this
poo-poo this
particular
because you
episode.
hate carbon footprints. You love having a giant carbon footprint.
No.
You
That's
hate
not it at
the
all.
environment.
No.
You
what
want
the-
me to die.
No, jeez, you're the worst.
Sorry.
You're such a jerk. Okay, so I love that you can save $2,500 a year, right? That's awesome.
I know where you're
But-
going.
But it costs in some cases so much to make your home energy efficient, and when you think about like how long it takes to get that return on investment, I would say the average American, if you just look at statistics,
American?
people they're struggling. I mean,
Yeah.
it's difficult, making ends meet. Somewhere in the neighborhood of like 70% of all households are literally month to month, meaning if they don't get a paycheck next month, they're gonna like miss payments. So when you look at it through that lens, yeah, I'd save money, but I got to spend a ton of money that I don't have. So I feel like there's a little bit of back and forth here, and I know they do a lot of energy credits and stuff like that for solar and different things that you do. But I just don't know if they're enough to make it feasible for the majority of homeowners to do this sort of thing.
So funny you say solar. I thought that you and I both were going to go real heavy on solar based off of just our past episodes we've done. We've done a whole episode on solar power if you want to check that one out.
How panels are made.
How panels are made, we did an episode on. We've done clean tech for industry before, like giant office spaces. Check all those out. They're great. But I thought we were going to have a lot more solar energy stuff we were going to talk about.
I did none.
I did none as well. And because I took an approach on this one that is a lot more like stuff that I could actually do at my house, Like,
Well, pay someone to do. Let's be honest.
yeah, stuff I could pay someone to do at my house. That's reasonable. You're right. But if you look at solar panels, it's exactly like you're saying. You're getting a huge credit, and it's still costing you thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to get these suckers put in place. Or there's the ones that's like $0 out of pocket, but then you really don't see the benefits. It's just kind of like you make
Yeah.
yourself feel better about
Yeah.
being a good person. So I did not touch on those. One thing I did touch on, and the first thing I'll talk about is energy efficient lighting. So this is a big one, I think. Replacing old light bulbs, which I haven't done at my house and I should, with energy efficient alternatives is one of the easiest ways for you to reduce your utility bills. Lighting is on average 9% of a household's energy bill. So 9% might not sound that huge, but I mean, like, I can't do much on this list, but changing a light bulb is something I'm capable of.
So when you purchase, and I'm going to talk about Energy Star a ton, and everybody has seen Energy Star. Basically, I stole almost everything that
It's that
borrowed.
blue
Sorry.
star, right?
Yeah, it's that blue logo where it says Energy Star and there's a star. I borrowed, so I want to give them credit. So EnergyStar.gov or whatever the website is.
Real good credit, Luke.
Sorry. People know how to Google. Come on, people.
Yeah.
But one single Energy Star certified light bulb and fixture can use 70 to 90% less than a traditional light bulb. So perfect example. Let's say you switch over to an LED bulb that uses about 9 watts. It can replace a 60-watt incandescent light bulb and save you $55 in electric costs in the lifetime of that new LED bulb. So that's a single light bulb saving you $55. And you just talked about you have how many light bulbs in your house.
Unbelievable number.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
One thing I'm going to throw a little complaint out here. There's some light bulbs that I don't think I'm ever going to be able to reach in my house. So I literally will need a professional to come, like, do the whole scaffolding thing, replace
They
those
have
maybe.
people to do that. There's companies that do that. That's what they do.
I don't like that. Yeah, that's great though. 50 something bucks you said per light bulb.
55 per light bulb over the lifetime.
So I wonder how that really ends up breaking down, because you also then have to take into account, like, I know those ones they seem really expensive when you're buying them, right? Especially when you can look at the old like the old normal light bulbs, we'll say, from back in the day, that it's like, oh, this one cost $1 and this one cost $12. But this one that cost $12 is supposed to last for 20 years or something.
And
we know
consume way less energy.
Right, and we know this other one that cost $1 is only going to last for like a year and a half. So then you're also kind of like adding that stuff in there. So that upfront cost is going to be more, but it'll save you money in the long run.
Well, that goes back to my we'll call it an early rant about like how much energy efficiency costs. And, the average person walking into a Lowe's doesn't have, if I can buy something for $1 or $20, I'm probably going to buy the thing that costs $1.
Can I give you an early rant?
Let me hear it.
I don't like how light bulbs have like the fat base and the skinny base. You know what I mean? Like the part that you screw in. Because like I'll find one, I'll be like, oh, it's the perfect shaped light bulb to match the other ones that I have, because only one burns out at a time, and then it'll have the fat base or the skin. Oh, it drives me nuts. Luke. Gosh. Okay.
That's funny.
Any more about light bulbs you wanted to talk about?
No, but could we back up just a second?
Oh, please.
And I mentioned Energy Star, and I think if we're doing something on, home efficiency, we kind of have to give a nod to that. So Energy Star is a U.S. Environmental Protection Agency voluntary program that helps businesses and individuals save money and protect our climate through superior energy efficiency. And what they do, they really don't do a lot, to be honest with you. They basically set a lot of standards. So for you to be certified Energy Star, there's a benchmark that you have to hit as a refrigerator manufacturer, as a light bulb manufacturer, or else you don't get that blue Energy Star, and then you can't make some of these claims. The other thing too that's interesting, when you buy Energy Star appliances and products and all this stuff. I don't know if you ever noticed this. Do you do your own taxes?
I used to do my own taxes.
Okay, so I do my own taxes because I don't know why I do, but I do my own taxes. And there's a whole section on your tax form about making, energy improvements to your home, and have you done any? And anything that's listed as Energy Star, whether it's windows or appliances or any big purchases you make that are Energy Star, can qualify, and you put all those in there, and then you can get some of that back, in taxes. I mean, you don't get a lot back, but it's definitely worth keeping track, especially if you're buying brand new, lots of appliances or windows. Definitely make sure you keep track of that stuff for tax purposes.
I know we're not supposed to like say things that make people know when we're recording this, but I just got the damage back from my taxes for the year. Ooh, terrible times. But that's interesting, Luke. You know what I think they should do is make people's houses Energy Star certified. Like where people could, like you could have someone come through and be like, yep, your fridge, yep, dishwasher, check, washing machine, check, light bulbs, check. And then maybe you would get some sort of discount or return on your taxes from the government because you've gone all that extra distance to make sure that your house is doing everything it can for the environment.
Interesting.
I think we should pitch that, or maybe start a company that gets government grant money to, say we're going to do that and then not do it and buy an island. Okay, so before we move on, I know you just mentioned energy efficient appliances as one of the big things that we're going to be looking at. I think that's where we should head next. But first, let's take a break for a word from our sponsor.
It's got to be EnergyStar.gov.
Or whatever it was. No, we do not actually have a sponsor this episode.
Oh, wah, wah.
I know, I'm super sad about that as well, because now I can't afford Energy Star appliances. We do have a shout out, though, from Tyler W. He's been binge listening while at home, graduating as a mechanical engineer from the Florida State University. I assume that's what he means. FSU. Yes, Mud Ducks.
Yeah.
So graduating in a few weeks. He wants an episode on how the coronavirus is and was affecting engineers. So, how is their job being impacted? How do people's jobs change as they're working from home as an engineer? Engineers that are used to being on the shop floor that can no longer be on the shop floor, things like that. And he said, and if that one isn't good enough, or maybe it's too much for us to tackle, maybe we could look into how like a big epidemic like this is impacting industries like or companies like Boeing. How is this? And everybody should know by now that it's not going real well for Boeing in this time. But how different companies like that are either being impacted or how they change their business models to help support the efforts for the coronavirus.
I think we can do that, but I think we probably want to be socially sensitive and probably wait till all of this is over. So maybe next year sometime we kind of put that on the list and tackle this, kind of like an after the fact kind of thing, because I think doing that right in the middle of an epidemic might not be as sensitive as we could be. But it's a good idea because I know that lots of engineers are definitely affected with the way they work, and especially people that are working in like non-technical jobs that are laid off and just not working period, or in a whole different ball game where they don't even have a job, let alone used to working from home.
Right.
So,
Luke, you're always thinking with your heart, and I like that about you.
You know what? I do.
You do. So if any of you think with your heart and want to say some nice heartfelt things to us, maybe you want to recommend some topics for us to cover, you want some amazing stickers to get sent your way, anything of that sort, why don't you please email us at unprofessionalengineering@gmail.com.
Make sure you subscribe, make sure that you review, make sure that you like whatever platform you happen to be listening on, and if you happen to have a smart device, just yell at it to play Unprofessional Engineering Podcast, and our lovely baritone voices will be beamed into your ear holes.
That was generous of you, Luke.
Well, mine's baritone, which is more of kind of a squeaky.
I think squeaky's the right term for it.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of squeaky voices, this has nothing to do with that. Let's talk about energy-efficient appliances. And I'm going to start with a fun fact for you, Luke.
Shoot.
In an average home, appliances are responsible for about a little less than a quarter of the total residential energy consumption.
It's a lot, especially
25%, plus then the 9-10% for light bulbs. Woo.
Yeah. So, do you have 2 refrigerators? Do you have a basement one?
So I used to have like the beer fridge, little beer fridge, mini one, like the college ones in my basement, but it broke. But I have an extra full size freezer that I have. So I guess I could say yes. I have a giant freezer and then the fridge freezer.
I would bet most people do I'm going to get a new refrigerator, and they just throw the old super inefficient one that's definitely not Energy Star. It's tan and has wooden handles on it, and you haven't de-iced it in like ages, and it smells funny, but you throw all your leftovers in it, and when you have holiday parties, you throw the food in it.
I know. I love it.
Everybody has one.
Everybody knows exactly what you're talking about too.
Yeah, so those things are, number one, they're terrible. They run constantly.
They are bad.
But that's a big problem, I think, is a lot of people, they're like, I'm going to go buy an Energy Star, but then you're going to, so now you're, never mind. I'm going to quit ranting.
That was good, Luke. No, I think that was actually one of the tips that people had online. It was probably the same Energy Star webpage that you were looking at, but they say just trash that refrigerator. Like, I know you love having that fridge. Go get even a cheap one that's new, that's not Energy Star. I probably shouldn't say that, but it's still going to be more efficient than the old thing that you have the wooden handles on. So always a good way to get started. Looking at some of the specifics of these appliances, Energy Certified is everything that we're looking at here, or at least everything I'm looking at. An Energy Certified dryer consumes 20% less energy than conventional clothing dryers. So that can offer you up to like $210 of savings on average per year for the entire service life. So I don't know how long a dryer lasts, maybe 15, 20 years at this point. So we're talking maybe $4,000, $4,200 that this dryer is saving you over its lifetime. That's more than the dryer itself cost. So I feel like that probably makes up for the difference if you're going to be owning that for a long time.
So quick tip I'm going to have a bunch of these tips throughout the show. Yeah. Refrigerators and freezers actually operate most efficiently when they're full. So make sure that you keep your freezers and your refrigerators full if possible. They actually say, if anything, you just put bottles of water in it. And what happens is it creates this thermal mass that
Mm-hmm.
maintains that temperature. You do have to watch overcrowding, so make sure you still have enough room for airflow. But like right now, I have half of a ham sitting down in a freezer in my basement, and that refrigerator is running 100% of the time, the compressor, to keep a ham that I'm probably not going to eat, cold.
Yeah.
So
Well, you should eat that, Luke, because, that's not nice of you. But I saw that same thing, and I was like, when it was like, even just fill it with water bottles, I was like, probably not gonna do that. And then it was like, but don't overfill it. And now I'm like, oh, so now I have to know just the right amount of water bottles
just
to
the
fill
right
it with.
amount.
So yeah, I was kind of meh on that one. A little bit about the refrigerators. They're pretty high on the list of energy suckers as well. They amount to 6% of your energy use. That's pretty high for one appliance.
Mm-hmm.
Energy Star refrigerators use 9% less energy. Uh, Clothing washers use 25% less energy and 45% less water when compared to standard models. And then dishwashers constitute only 1% of standard energy use, which but you can also then save on the amount of water that you're using. So if you are going to prioritize how you're going to upgrade your appliances for the most bang for your buck, we'll say, it sounds like your clothing washer is probably the best place to start at, because you're going to save 25% of the energy and 45% less water use, which is
There
crazy.
you go.
Also, I just had a leaky toilet back at my old house a few months
Mm-hmm.
back. My water bill was through the roof. It was like almost $1,000, I think, because of
Oh
the
my
leaky
goodness.
toilet. And so
That's
you
crazy.
want to use less water. So you go clothing washer, clothing dryer, refrigerator, dishwasher. That seems to be the
Okay.
right order for you.
Okay.
Anything
it.
else you wanted to say about these appliances?
No, nothing on appliances. I have some heating and cooling, and then just general thermal enclosures around your house.
I wrote a funny line here and I didn't remember to say it. So it says, "If does it sound like you should pass on a fancy dishwasher? Yes, my wife already has me for that anyways. I spend
Ah.
I swear I spend half of my life washing dishes. That's unbelievable." Okay,
Uh,
moving on. What did you want to talk about next, Luke?
so the next thing I want to talk about is heating and cooling. So this is something that I never thought about with heating and cooling, at my previous house or the house I'm in right now, because with all this podcast money, I mean, I keep on upsizing.
My house is very efficient because I just stuff the walls with all of this cash that
Money.
we make. Right?
Oh, money has a great R value, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So quickly, but before we get to my rant, let's talk about heating and cooling your home. So heating and cooling equipment in your home. So this is the air conditioner. This is your furnace. This is the ductwork that actually pumps that. Hot or cold air around. You may be in a situation where you may have radiant floors. You may have a boiler, and you're doing a radiator. So whatever it happens to be,
heaters,
baseboard heat, whatever it happens to be. The biggest thing here, if you have a forced air system. So this is what I'd say most homes nowadays have. So they have an air conditioner and they have a high efficiency furnace, which I'll talk about in a second. And they basically force hot or cold air through ductwork in the house. First of all, ducts should be at a higher level in a room because hot air rises, cold air sinks, so it works perfectly. Most people don't like that, though, even though for a while there it seemed like they used to do that. So not only is the location of the duct in the room important, but the duct size is important because if you overly restrict the ductwork, you'll end up forcing the fan on the furnace or the fan on your furnace, because your air conditioner goes in you'll end up forcing the fan to work harder if you're overly restrictive. But then you want to be restrictive enough so that you get equal distribution of hot and cold air throughout the house. So sizing is super important. The other thing I never thought about was making sure that those ducts don't have leaks. Apparently, they say something like, I forget what the number is. There's approximately in the average house, there's approximately like 1,000 gaps in your heating and
What?
cooling duct system. And think about it, all it really is steel that they're bending over with a pair of crimps whenever they're doing the assembly. Very rarely are they sealing the seams between transitions and ductwork and hems and screws and stuff like that. So if you can, make sure that your ductwork is leak free. Make sure your filter. This is the one.
I was going to mention that.
The filter's a big one. If you don't change your filter every month, not only is that disgusting, and I know you don't. I can tell by the way you just murmured.
No, I was going to say I don't want to go there and sneeze in your house.
So you have to change it every month, because what happens is that buildup happens, and you basically build up a resistance, and you start forcing your furnace to work harder because of the material that's built up on that furnace filter. So make sure you're changing the filter, and it's just gross because it's all like your dead skin and hair and.
But not only is it
pollen.
making it less efficient because it's not pumping the air through and it's probably shooting out those gaps right where the filter slides in at, but it's also putting wear and tear on your system so that your parts are going to fail more quickly.
That's right.
Total bummer. Ugh.
So, and then lastly, on heating and cooling, and I'm making this mostly about forced air unless you have some other stuff, but most furnaces nowadays are what's considered a high-efficiency furnace. So this is 90% AFUE or higher. I have no idea what AFUE is, but I'm not sure what that is. And it does this through a secondary heat exchanger that heats the air from the condensed gas. So basically it takes the hot gas and puts it back into the system to make it more efficient, so it doesn't have to make its own, it doesn't have to work as hard because it's taking the flue gas and recycling it. So that's how it gets the higher efficiencies on your furnaces. And it definitely is worth a high efficiency furnace. They tend to be more expensive, but they are so much more efficient than traditional furnaces.
Nice. So with that, I think we should probably take a break because we are overdue for this week's Luke's Rant.
So this rant is going to be all about the ridiculous price of appliances. So, and not particularly Energy Star. Basically, every appliance you buy nowadays is Energy Star. And I think I may have used this rant once before. I'm not sure. So I purchased a brand new refrigerator maybe 6 months ago, 9 months ago. Love the refrigerator. It's a great refrigerator. But then I wanted to start looking at getting a new dishwasher that matches, a new stove that matches, and it is just so ridiculous, the price of appliances. And then whenever you put in, like, you want to get a high efficiency appliance, you want to get something like dishwashers are all about quiet. And this is probably my biggest rant, James. So this will be really specific. If you want to get a low decibel dishwasher, because I think that's what people care about, they want the really, like, the whisper quiet dishwasher. Like, that's what they want. They are literally like $400 more than just like a regular dishwasher. And it's just like, really? All they're doing is shoving insulation inside of it. They're not doing anything different. It's not a different motor. It's not. It's just they're just putting they're getting a foam gun and going like inside the walls.
I don't know if that's what they're doing, but it seems like that's what they would do. Yeah.
So it just kills me, the prices of appliances, and it's a wonder everybody has these super inefficient appliances that are older in their homes because they can't afford to buy new appliances. Let's make it easier. Come on, people.
The prices are crazy. Quick story for you. Back when I was getting appliances for my old house, I got like one of those matching sets, right? Your dishwasher, your fridge, your oven, whatever. It was on sale, blah, blah, blah. But it didn't come with a microwave. So I wanted a microwave that was stainless that matched them. And I wanted the same brand. That way the buttons look the same and everything. And it was kind of expensive. We're going to say, we'll leave it at that. But my wife was appalled by how much I would spend on a microwave just to make it match. And then when she moved in, she immediately made popcorn in it, which the bag blew up and knocked the metal rack off of where it was. And it fell down. And she melted this giant black hole into the side of what was pretty expensive microwave. And I'm pretty confident she just did that out of spite for how much I spent on it.
She is the worst.
She is the worst. Really upset me. Okay, moving on. Water heating is another big place that you can save. Water heating is a significant contributor to like your overall energy usage. It amounts to 12% of a household's energy use on average. So that's above the refrigerator, pretty high up there. It's actually the water heater alone is more than all of the light bulbs in your house. So there's four big things that you can do to decrease the water heating expenses. One, use less hot water during the course of your day. So, like take less long hot showers. I don't know about you, Luke, but
Nope.
I take very long showers. It turns out I didn't realize it, but turns out I do. Turn down the thermostat on your water heater to lower your water heating expenses, obviously. Insulate your water heater and the first 6 feet of hot and cold water pipes connected to your heater to minimize unnecessary heat loss. And then replace your water heater with a more efficient model, like you've been mentioning.
Yeah, so the thing about water heaters and the reason why they're such a problem, and this is really predominantly from what I found, this is predominantly a thing in the United States, maybe Canada, but definitely not Europe as much and other countries.
Sure.
So what we do is we have a 60 gallon, 90 gallon, 55 gallon, whatever it is, water heater in our home, and all it does is keep water at a perfectly hot temperature all day long, whether you're using hot water
Spoiled.
or not. And basically, when it starts to cool off, it turns the boiler on and gets the water hot, and then it shuts off. And you're basically heating water all day long that you're not using. So what a lot of countries do, and you see a lot of this in Europe, is they have these on-demand water heaters where you're not going to be able to take like a 35-minute shower because it can't keep up the pace. Like
Right.
the first 2 minutes of the shower are great. You're like, ooh, this is awesome. Yeah. And then like 3 minutes in, it's like medium warm water, and then it finally gets cold because it can't keep up the demand. They do have new instant water heaters that are a little bit better. But most other countries, other than the United States, do a lot of this hot water on demand, which I think is way better because you're only heating, a small amount of water when you need it, rather than keeping, gallons and gallons and gallons hot all day long. So.
When I was in Croatia, they had that going on, and it did not fit my needs for the wife showering first, then me showering. I'd get in there and be like, this is kind of, whoa, it's cold. Like, no good. Could not live like that. Sorry. Thanks, Croatia. Another one. Oh, go ahead.
Shoot. So, were we going to talk about like the whole house system a little bit?
One last fact I
no?
wanted to
Okay.
throw out there would be your windows. Windows are a big one, especially for people that live in places like Pittsburgh, where a lot of the houses are old. I assume this is even more important in places like Europe, where the houses are really old.
Ancient.
Yeah, old windows, like 10 to 25% of your heating bill is going to be a result of heat loss through your windows, which is somewhere between like $90 and $230 that you could be saving each year. So upgrading those windows, and again, you can get rebates through your taxes, or maybe not rebates, but some money back on your taxes because of having energy efficient windows. You can get the double pane stuff. You can get all sorts of fancy technology in them as you upgrade them. Are they cheap? No. But they can save you a lot of heat and make you a lot more comfortable in your house.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Luke.
So, that kind of falls into this last section that I want to talk about, and this is the idea of a complete thermal enclosure system for your house. So, fun fact: the average home contains a mile and a half of cracks and gaps between the walls, windows, doors, pipes, vents, ductwork, anything going in and out of your house, the seams where your windows are, and that's just average that they have. So a lot of this comes down to, whenever they built your house, how well they, closed those gaps. And keep in mind, back in the day, the cost of, gas may have been so low that who cares if your furnace was running 100% of the time. You were paying, $1 per BTU or whatever it happens to be, and like your gas bill would be like $30 a month. Well, if my furnace runs 100% of the time, my gas bill is going to be like $400 a month. So there's a couple key things. So the first one is air sealing. You want to make sure that you're sealing all of those gaps where air could either be leaving if you're cooling air. So this is a two-way thing. So it's cold air going out and hot air coming in. or vice versa, depending on the season. So make sure you're sealing those gaps, and they sell all that spray that you can do yourself. A lot of times you can't get to these locations.
I love watching those videos of people spraying that stuff.
Yeah. So that's one. The other one is proper insulation and properly installed insulation. So this is R value. And if you've never heard of R value, it's the measure of thermal resistance of a material. So everything has an R value, but whenever you're buying insulation for your house, in particular, the higher the R value, the greater the insulation effect is. So you also have to make sure that your insulation is installed properly, and they do this to reduce what's called thermal bridging. So thermal bridging is whenever you have a point on the exterior of your house, and let's say it's super cold out, and we've all been there where you can feel a part of your wall is extra cold in like one spot in the wintertime. And the reason is there's a thermal bridge that cold air is, heating a piece of material that's in the wall, and then that wall is touching your drywall, and then that drywall is where your hand happens to be. So when you're building a home or insulating a home, you want to eliminate as much of this thermal bridging as possible. You want to put in obstacles and gaps just to make sure that can't make its way inside of your house. And a lot of this happens with those high performance windows that you talked about. And you always want to make sure that you have a fully insulated attic. That's probably the easiest thing a homeowner can do. So like right now, my attic is insulated on the top, but not the eaves.
Yeah.
So at some point, I should probably insulate the eaves to get some greater efficiency with the way my house is insulated. So those are the things that are involved in a complete thermal enclosure. Basically, you want to be a bubble boy.
Yeah.
With
Who
that,
doesn't
you
want to
want
be?
You want to be a perfect bubble.
Don't let George
of
around.
air.
But yes,
Exactly.
So I know we're over, but I have 7 simple things anyone could do to help their energy bill, and even you, Luke.
Okay.
Number 1, your porch light is one of the biggest light bulbs that you can change. Your porch light is on all night long. You're probably going to forget to turn it off during the day. Changing your light bulb to use a compact fluorescent light will save you like all sorts of money right off the bat if you're not going to change all your light bulbs. Another one is door sweeps. The things, those like little brushes that they put on the bottom of doors, that really helps ensure a nice tight seal, because you're not going to have all of those drafts. So all that hot air that you're pumping into your house isn't escaping there because you have these drafts. Same things with the cold air. It's not going to leave when it's hot out. A shower, a 10-minute shower can use less water than a full bath. So if you're a bath person, maybe take a shower instead. Or like I said, if you're me, maybe you try and limit it to a 10-minute shower.
If you're a bath person, you're gross. So
that's true. Who doesn't like stewing in their own filth? Sink faucets. Repair any leaky faucets out there. Pretty easy to do most of the time. Hot water leaking at a rate of 1 drip per second can cost up to over 1,600 gallons of water over a year, and waste electricity on top of it. Use a power strip with an on-off switch to plug all sorts of stuff into, because all of our electronics that we use, our monitors, our computers, even our phone chargers, are always sucking up electricity even when we're not using them. So if you just turn off that power strip, it unplugs all those basically and saves you that constant energy drain. On your range, use the right size pot for the stove burner that you're using. And I know I break this rule all the time. So like a 6-inch pot on an 8-inch burner is wasting 40% of the burner's heat. So also cover the pots and pans to keep the heat in, according to the cooking instructions, of course. Yep. So make sure you're using the right size pot. That can save you $36 a year in electricity, or almost $20 in gas. And use your microwave for reheating stuff. You can reduce cooking energy by as much as 80% when you use your microwave on small portions, instead of, say, heating them up on the range or throwing them in the oven. So 7 simple things we could all do.
I have one more, and then we can end here. Mm-hmm. And I want to see your reaction to this. Set your thermostat in the summertime to 78 degrees. Hold on. And in the wintertime, set it to 68 degrees. That is 78 degrees? I would be like shirtless and like sweating putty balls if it was 78 degrees in my house in the summertime.
I do 70 in the winter, and I already get yelled at a lot for that. And I do 74 in the summer, and I'm already shirtless and sweating when I do that.
Yeah, we're usually 70 year round. Like we try to keep it 70, 71 kind of year round. So,
Ooh,
but 78? That's
68
ridiculous.
seems almost feasible. 78?
That's ridiculous.
No, thank
Okay.
you. Awesome. Well, hopefully you all enjoyed this, and now you're all going to go out and reduce your carbon footprint and become better people like Luke by replacing your light bulbs and all that stuff that we suggested.
I did have one last thing. I promised our listeners my home score. So on a
that's
scale
right.
of on a scale of 1 to 10, I got a 2.7 for my home.
Oh, goodness, Luke.
I use an annual 7,666 kilowatts of electricity, and I use 964 therms. I have no idea what a therm is, and this was the depressing one. My energy consumption results in 21 tons of greenhouse gas emissions for my home. That makes me feel bad. I need to get better.
So I take it a 10's a good score, and yours
A 5 is average.
Wow,
so you want to be
Luke,
above
you
a
are
5.
very bad. If any of you think that you have a better home score, why don't you write in and tell us about it? Email us at unprofessionalengineering@gmail.com. And until next time.
See you.